Welcome to those who have just joined us. Nō reira, me tīmata tātou ki te karakia, mauri ora ki a mātou, arahina mātou i a mātou mahi. Ki mihia he huarahi mō te kaupapa o te mātou ranga hangarau, āwhina atu, āwhina mai, te pou e here nei i a mātou, hui e, tai ki e. Ka pai? And now we are going to make sure that we don't forget to tell you this webinar has been brought to the sector by TENS in partnership with the Ministry of Education. And that takes me to Susana Tomaz, who is the STEAM coordinator at Westlake Girls High School in Auckland, New Zealand. Susana serves as the cross-school lead for the Te Kāhui Ako o Pupuke, a community of learning encompassing multiple schools in the North Shore region. Her work focuses on integrating emerging technologies, such as AI, into education to prepare students for future challenges. I'm looking forward to her international insights and secondary school level practical aspects.
Oh, it's my pleasure to be here, and I'm really excited. I've got lots that I would like to cover, so I just got my timing so I don't run out of time. Kia ora, everyone. I'll just get straight into it, right? So we've had a few challenges through the year, and I have been really immersed in the AI integration in education this year through my Masters of Technological Futures, which I just completed yesterday. So I'm really happy to be sharing some of the insights from my research and also from my professional connections, across the world. So moving on to my first part, I've got a couple of videos just to kind of get us really stimulated about the potentials of integrating AI.
What famous piece of literature does this remind you of?
That image of a skull reminds me of Hamlet. Do you enjoy Shakespeare's work?
Yes, I do. Can you tell me what this famous thought experiment might be and explain it to me in one sentence?
That looks like the ship of Theseus thought experiment. It questions whether an object that has had all of its components replaced remains fundamentally the same object.
Can you give me a creative poem about these objects?
A vibrant orb, a mind laid bare, time's silent passage fills the air. The fruit of thought, the sands that fall, what memories will it recall?
Cool.
And I've got another one here.
Try to guess this famous figure.
That's a fun drawing. Is it Albert Einstein?
Yeah, what did he do around this time?
In 1905, Albert Einstein published his groundbreaking theory of special relativity. Do you want another hint for your drawing?
Does this remind you of any of his work?
Yes, that drawing reminds me of his photoelectric effect paper, which also won him the Nobel Prize in 1921.
Okay. Do you know who this is?
Is this a new famous figure? This makes me think of gravity and Isaac Newton.
Right, so I mean, as a teacher, straight away, I'm stimulated by the possibilities and this multinodal approach to AI. And, it really takes me beyond ChatGPT, and there's so much more to AI. And Donna has got some exciting things to share with you later on. But these are the potentials, and we need to think a little bit ahead. AI is here to stay.
Try to guess this famous figure.
Is not going to go anywhere, but it also brings along its challenges, and the fact that as humans we bias, and generative AI is even worse. And so we also need to think about AI with a more critical lens and with a broader approach. So let's have a look at a little snippet of the next video. Oh, it's not playing, so I'll move on. It's a video I'll share with you later on, but it's a video that shows deep fakes, which relates to this picture here. So we're seeing that deep fakes are impacting schools in as an application of AI, for a negative application of AI, and I think that is really important that we are aware of the potentialities but also the challenges that we're facing. And not to say the least, academic integrity is a big one. We've had schools that ban AI to stop plagiarism, but there's a bigger picture here. AI detectors don't work, and we really need, in the era of AI, to start shifting towards a focus on learning, evidence of learning, rather than being stuck on evidence of cheating. And that's easier said than done, but just giving a little bit of a picture, because the implications of generative AI are far beyond just the assessment. And I'll share a few insights today about how other countries are approaching it. So when we integrate AI, we really need to think about the pedagogy before technology, and it's actually reframing the purpose of education and even the role of the teacher. And it's getting us thinking about what this child empowerment means in the age of AI. And a lot of the work happening international is really thinking deeper into this space. So for the first time, we've got a third entity in this relationship between teacher and student, which is this AI. So like it or not, is really challenging our role and how does it come along. And UNESCO has spent a lot of time through global consultation looking at this part, and in September, these 2 AI competencies frameworks have been published, and basically it gives guidance for what AI competencies we need to build as teachers, but the students as well. And it really has this human-centric approach to AI integration in education, and it feels really strongly about protecting the role of the teacher, because at the end of the day, we are pedagogical experts, so we need to be the critical reviewers, the co-creators, as well as co-designers and co-learners of AI. So we need to have their agency, and to have the agency, we need to have AI literacy. So there's a few resources out there. The one on the left has been developed here by a collaboration in New Zealand. I really encourage you to have a look and think about the bigger picture around AI literacy. And then the diagram on the left talks about really reinforces the impact on society. And I would even take it that we need to have that critical lens around, cognition and how we use it so it doesn't cause that cognitive atrophy. So really, there is a need for policy, for governance, and culturally responsive context. And I've just been working on developing a roadmap, which I'm more than happy. I'm just iterating at the moment. I'm more than happy to share and make it available for everyone to help with the journey, if that's going to be useful in your context. So moving on now to the international focus, I'm going to cover just a few examples: Australia, Singapore, Finland, and South Korea. So if we go to Finland, Finland has been obviously very renowned for the quality of education they offers, and PISA tests, and so has Singapore. And they've really invested almost 10 million euros on AI research and AI integration in education. They have got an initiative, a program that schools can enroll and register just to help support their responsible AI adoption, think about ethics as well as pedagogy, and that's really important to have that support. They've also offering training through elements of AI, and the purpose, this is not just for teachers, this is for the whole, for everyone in Finland. And internationally as well. They've got over 1 million people learning through this course, and you can join as well. So really, really important. They've been really proactive. Singapore is being very proactive as well. So they've got a free resource for everyone as well. But I've just got here a screenshot of their AI Singapore resource specific for educators. Again, just as Finland, this is made available for free internationally. So if you're keen to learn a little bit more, you can use this resource. And obviously they've thought long term about the integration of AI in education, and they've created a timeline and a timeline and a milestone, really mapped it out to see how they can enhance the personalization of education and support learners better. Now, South Korea has been really interesting because they've got a really ambitious goal, and they've invested millions in this. And I think the focus and the drive has been to really eliminate that digital and AI divide. So they want to eliminate disparity in digital-based education, and they're going to be introducing these AI-infused textbooks into schools from next year, 2025. And the idea is that it's going to release the teacher to build more connection and stronger relationships with the students in the classroom, while the AI-infused textbooks will be focusing on the content and personalizing their learning. So this is a really interesting approach. They had a really strong challenge from not just schools, teachers, but also parents. So apparently there's been the biggest petition put together in the history of South Korea to stop these AI textbooks being implemented into schools, which is really interesting. So you'll find a lot in the media about this, but I'm watching this one really carefully because I'm very excited to see how this evolves. Obviously is a massive disruption. And then we got Australia. Now, Australia have been really proactive. Straight away, November 2023, they created the Australian framework to support the integration of AI into schools. There's been a little bit of criticism from educators. They think it's very prescriptive. But I personally think they're better to have something as a starting point that is quite prescriptive to not having any guidance at all. And New South Wales have really been at the forefront internationally, and they came up with this idea of developing a chatbot specific for education, with additional guardrails, that creates a sandbox environment that it builds experimentation, so that there's a better development of AI literacy, using an approach that keeps data safe. And I'll just play a little bit of this video.
You're going to kind of treat it like a regular human being.
These Year 10 students have been using generative AI for months, and it's transformed the way they learn.
I think I've had to think about it more and sort of had to accustom myself to it, because obviously a lot of jobs in the future are going to want it. So it's important that I learn it now.
The New South Wales Department of Education's in-house AI tool looks like any other messaging platform. It's modelled on ChatGPT, but built specifically for the state's curriculum, and it won't write your essays or help you cheat.
It's like it's providing us the why, but not giving us the entire answer.
For teachers, it's being used to help reduce admin work.
I remember using it for lesson designs and stuff like that, and getting ideas to create lessons for different syllabus dot points.
Late last year, federal and state governments released a national plan for generative AI in schools, which it says should ensure it's used responsibly and ethically. It's a battle many schools and universities are now facing, balancing the need to adapt with the technology, but also proceed with caution.
There's a huge responsibility and a huge opportunity for our schooling system to develop capable young adults who will be able to engage with AI without fear and with a really strong sense of responsibility and ethical understandings of how to use it.
Unfortunately, this is the way the world's going. It's more of a conversation about how we're future-proofing their kids and how we're making them future-proof. So when they go into employment opportunities outside of school, they are set up for their future.
A federal inquiry into the use of generative AI in schools has recommended it be treated as a national priority and to ensure potential risks are urgently addressed.
The really sort of significant ways in which we'll develop our curriculum over the next few years will be: when are the right times to use AI to enhance the learning? When are the times to step away from AI and to practice on, for example, times tables before you're allowed to use calculators?
So very important. I think the video really nails it. It's that critical lens, having a critical lens about the use of AI, and as pedagogical experts really understand what are the benefits to actually integrate AI into this activity in the classroom, and is there the best activity to run, or is it a paper activity, right? So it's really important to have a pedagogical critical lens. So we come to New Zealand now, and so New Zealand has not taken a very, in my perspective, a very proactive approach, and I think the timing with the elections has not helped either, and the focus on the basics as well. But I really see a great potential here for the integration of AI to support this new curriculum and teachers with the implementation of the new curriculum, and I would hate to see New Zealand missing out on their opportunity, and to myself I consider it really a social responsibility to be preparing our young people for the future, and obviously our workforce as well. So there are the generative AI guidelines. They the ministry website has transitioned. There's been an update recently, and at the moment they are not available, so if you click on this link you won't find it, but I've been reassured that they've been reviewed, and I'm quite positive because it's a really good opportunity to streamline it, because they are very grayish, but there is new resources also in the minister website, and I really encourage you to have a look at that. Another initiative that's happened, I've been really grateful for bringing my collaboration into it, is the development of the Education AI Blueprint, and that's been developed through the AI Forum here in New Zealand, and just established a vision and a plan, a focus for what we would like to see for the education sector. And you can find more about a community of practice that has been established by scanning this QR code. And that community of practice has been ongoing for the last 2.5 months. And it brings a really rich ecosystem together to talk about innovation and the integration of AI in education. So in my opinion, I really, and through my research, it's become really clear that AI is really exciting and is very easy to jump into it. But I really think that we need to have the systems in place to support good, responsible and ethical use. And one of them is really taking this ecosystem approach of whole school and use this roadmap and come up with strategies of how we're going to integrate it, bring about transparency, and involve the parents, the students, and the teachers. Everyone needs to come on their journey. And I think a really good starting point is adopting an AI policy, and I have got a template there I'm happy to share, and the next step would be also having a student classroom charter, so we all talking the same language and there is really understanding of what's good use and what is not so good use or of AI in the classroom. So if you're interested, these are artifacts from my master's I've just finished, but I'm very happy to be sharing sharing these with you. And I've left again a QR code here. If you're interested, just leave me your details and I'll send it through. Hopefully they should be finished before the end of the year, ready for 2025. So yeah, so this is the end of my presentation. And if you've got any questions, I think Ruth is going to give us a little bit of time for that throughout the webinar. I hope that it's been helpful.
Ngā mihi kia koe, Susana. That was absolutely fantastic, and I had no idea.
Ruth, I think you're on mute. I'm going to stop sharing.
Sorry, my headphones do play up every now and then.
We still can't hear you. Well,
oh, good. Yay.
Oh, it's me. This is me. It's my speaker went on mute.
Oh, jolly good. Okay, so ngā mihi nui kia koe, Susana. That was absolutely fantastic, and I had a few surprises in there for me. We will be holding questions. I haven't seen any come in through the Q&A yet, but we'll be holding questions until Donna's shared her pearls of wisdom with us. I will start sharing screen so that I can introduce the lovely Donna. Okay, and Donna Golightly is a seasoned educator, also based in Tamaki Makaurau, New Zealand, with over 30 years of experience in the classroom. She is a Google certified trainer, Google innovator, Apple professional learning specialist, and Apple learning coach. Currently, Donna is the lead digital coach working with a Year 6 class. Karawhiua. Take it away, Donna.
Thank you for that, Ruth. And Susana, that was amazing. I've got lots of things on my to-do list now. And congratulations on your masters. That's a huge feat. I am just going to share my screen and just double check that everybody can see it. Okay, so if Ruth or somebody could just let me know that you are all okay to see it. Awesome. You'll notice down in the bottom corner that there is a Rebrandly link. So all of the images I've got in the slides are linked to actual examples that you're welcome to make a copy of or to use as an exemplar or an idea in your classroom. So if you want to grab the slide deck to be able to grab those examples sooner rather than later, just feel free to put that Rebrandly. It goes in the Omnibox in the URL bar. If you put it in the search bar, it won't work. So I've had a few people going, it doesn't work. It won't in the search bar, but it will in your Omnibox. I have gone for bright, colourful image, kind of background colours today, mostly for me, to keep me motivated, because it's 12 school days to go, not that I'm counting. All right, so with AI, there are some things that when I'm talking to teachers, some things that I absolutely think are must-dos. And for me, it's spend time learning about what AI is and how it works. And Susana's just given us some amazing places to go for that. If we don't understand how it works ourselves, it's very hard for us to use it authentically and purposefully. You hear a lot about how AI will save you time, and it will save you time, but you have to spend time to save time. So I'm really conscious of teachers at school trying to jump in and then they go, oh my Lord, I thought this was going to save me time and I spent half an hour down this rabbit hole and I didn't get what I wanted. Just know that you actually do have to spend time before it's going to save time, because you have to learn how it works and the way that you want to work it. Make judgments about a tool. Just because someone else says it's a great tool doesn't mean that it's a great tool for you. And I'm personally a great believer in less is more. There are so many AI tools out there at the moment. I think we do want to be critical when we think about the ones that we want to use for ourselves. Follow your school guidelines. We have a very strict guideline policy here at my school. I do all my playing in my own personal account, and I never use any student work or any student names. Keep pedagogy at the front of what you do. I think Susana touched on that too. We are teachers. We are the experts. We know our students. We know what we want to get across to them. Pedagogy has to come first. And I kind of think there's a lot of talking about, you know, how it can create these amazing lessons for us, and it can give us great ideas. Personally, I've been around for a long time and I know the curriculum. And I feel like we need to trust ourselves. We don't have to use AI for every little thing that we want to do. Back ourselves and back your knowledge and just use it for when you want a new spark or something fresh. And I model with my students and discuss ethics all the time. So just some tips to get started. I'm not going to go through all of this. I might just make that a little bit smaller. There we go. But this is what I go through with our teachers when they're getting started with artificial intelligence. It's a bit of a framework around how should I be thinking about AI and what are some things that I can kind of get myself started with. One of the things I really like down here, and there's two linked for you, are two prompt libraries that are specifically education focused. So instead maybe of spending 20 minutes crafting what you think is going to be the most amazing prompt, there is nothing wrong with reinventing the wheel and using a prompt that somebody else has already created. So there's just some ideas there on how you might want to frame your thinking if you're new to AI and just getting started with it. There we go. So when I started with AI, and I will admit I am an early adopter, everybody knows me, I'm an early adopter of digital technology, but I started with my own teaching practice. I started in my own personal account, thinking about my own practice. And so what did I do? I created some personalized and contextual storybooks for things that we were doing in the classroom. So the tale of Sparkle and Flicker, we were looking at the start of the year of being more intentional with our students. We're a one-to-one iPad school. We are from year 4 to 6, year 0 to 3, have 1 to 2, 1 to 3. How we could get students to be more intentional about caring for the iPads, especially school-owned iPads. So I got Gemini to write a story for me about 2 iPads. One was looked after nicely, one wasn't. How did he feel? They had a problem and it came to a resolution, of course, where the students looked after both iPads nicely. But Gemini wrote the story for me. So I gave it the prompt, I gave it a general outline, I tweaked it a little bit on a Google Doc until I was happy with it. Then I used Canva's Magic Media to create the images for me, and I put it all together in a book creator because it was aimed at littlies, and if I put it in a book creator, they can listen to the story and reading doesn't become a barrier for them. And it's been really interesting how many teachers have said just that simple story has made their students more focused on caring for their iPads. And then I did one for my own students, which was a pick a path story about fractions. I just wanted to give them a little bit more of a fun way to think about fractions. And again, Gemini wrote the story, Canva made the images for me, and I put it all together in Book Creator. So thinking about different ways that you can personalize to your context and present some learning in a different way, maybe. If you haven't come across DFIT yet, we have a very strict policy at school, and any new tool, digital AI or either, has to go through a process, and the privacy securities are checked, the terms and conditions are checked. More often than not, we're told, no, we can't use it. But DFIT was one, or is one AI tool that has passed our system, and we are okay to use it with our school email. And it's fantastic for creating those just-in-time texts that you want to be bespoke to your students. So we're doing a lot of fluency reading at the moment. And this week, unbeknown to me, until I did a little search to see what kind of day of the week might be, today is tomorrow I think, is World Hello Day. So I got DFIT to create a text for me about World Hello Day, and that's our fluency reading for this week. It also does amazing language things. So if you want any reading resource at all, check out DFIT. But this one here, the image analysis, is linked for you. It comes with templates already done. It will push it out for you into any of the G Suite tool, Google Workspace tools, or PowerPoint tools. And the best thing is that you can tweak the template. So you can take a bit of one template, mix it with a bit of another template, which is what we should be doing as educators. So it's not just cookie cutter, but we put together what works for our students. Creating question matrix. My students were a PYP school, and my students were really struggling to come up with effective questions for their research. So I got it to create a question matrix for them, just to give them some question starters. I used Magic School AI for this one, and I asked it to create it in a table because I don't want to have to go and do the formatting, and it will do things like that. So if we want it bullet pointed, it will bullet point. If we want it in a table, it will put it in a table. And for me, that's one of the biggest time savers, is the formatting that it will do for us. So think about, if you're new and you're thinking, how could it save me time? Think about a task that might be laborious for you in terms of you have the information, but the formatting is going to take some time. If it's not information that shouldn't be shared, you can pop it into an AI generator and it will create that format for you really quickly. My students love Emoji Kitchen. And it's, if you haven't seen it before, it's super fun. It will take 2 different emojis and combine it into one. Very low level use of AI, but in terms of a primary school setting, it's a great way to start the students thinking about how are 2 pieces of data being taken and combined together to generate a new outcome. Because we want our students to understand what AI is and how it works. So if we can start with really simple examples and use the language of 2 pieces of data, generating a new outcome, then we start to help them to think about exactly what AI is doing. So the more they get to understand it, the more critical they'll be with it, and the more ethically, hopefully, they'll use it as they go up through the school. And there's a couple of activities that are linked in terms of what I did with the Emoji Kitchen to then put it into an activity for the students as well, because we know that using icons really engages students. So they had lots of fun. I explained to them how I'd made them because they picked up that these weren't standard emojis that they could see. So how did I make them? And it started this great conversation about emoji kitchens. I've used it to create supporting materials for staff meetings. So if you are somebody who runs a team or you've got to take a staff meeting, then we were running a staff meeting on AI. And so I asked AI to give me some top tips. And then I showed the staff how I got this information so that it then became part of what we were doing. So I modeled it and then gave them the information, and then I gave them time and gave them the scenario. So if you were running the staff meeting, what would you have asked AI for information on? What do you think is important? And they had some great discussions within their teams about what they saw as the importance, as what they saw as the important issues within AI. But it was also a really nice way for those teachers who are a little bit reluctant to get started, to get them thinking also about, well, what do I want to know about AI, or what should I know about AI? So it's not necessarily just me and my practice, but it's starting to slowly bring in other teachers and get them to think about it also. This was a very contentious one in 2023. I put a post on a teacher's Facebook page and said, hey, look, Gemini is a great, or any AI tool, but my personal preference is Gemini. That's just my preference. A great way to write reports. It saved me so much time. And it was like, oh my goodness, there was a stream of people going, this is not right, this is cheating. And there was a stream of people going, this is amazing, show me how to do it. And it's kind of showed that it showed where AI sat in the education landscape at that time. 12 months later, it's a completely different scenario. And I've seen lots of teachers posting, oh, AI's been great for report writing. But I think the thing that I really, really strongly, I guess, emphasize to our staff is that I never use the student's name. So I just put X for their name. And then because it feeds it out to copies it to a Google Doc, I can just use find and replace. So I could just say find every X and replace with student's name. So it takes less than a minute to pop the student's name in after I finished with the AI generator. I list the important phrases that I want my comment to have, so I know my student and I'm putting in the information that I want to pass on about the student. And then once it's generated, the reason that I like Gemini is because I can highlight just one word, or I can highlight 2 words, and I can just say, rephrase these 2 words, or make this phrase longer, or make this phrase shorter. And so I've got the ability within Gemini, and probably other AI tools too, but I know I can do it in Gemini, is to tweak just little parts of it. And of course, the initial prompt specified the year level, the New Zealand curriculum, and all that kind of thing. One comment I did get back was that it made proofreading so much faster for the next person who was proofreading it, because the language, the spelling, the grammar was actually all done by AI. And to be honest, it was much better than my first attempt. So whether you are somebody who, and this is totally no judgment on anyone. It works for some people, it doesn't work for others. But just think about where in your day you could use it to perhaps write something that you need to write. Maybe it's a report for an end of year report, or maybe it's a summary of a unit that you've done. There might just be a place in your day where you could use AI to just summarize that for you. A really fun one that's wasn't around last year, and I did do this in my personal because I don't have permission to use Suno on my school account, but I do have permission for Canva. So Suno is a great AI generator that will create lyrics for you. And we were looking at doing a forensic unit, and I wanted just a little bit of a different provocation, a different way to get the kids to think about it. So I got Suno to generate me a song about the job of a forensic scientist. And I got the students just to listen to it. And they had whiteboards. Some of them did it digitally, some of them did it on paper, whatever way suited them best. And they just drew, wrote, whatever it made them think of as they were listening. And we discussed all the outcomes that people had drawn, what they'd written, what it was making them thinking. Excuse me. And then their next step was to take what they had thought when they were listening and use Magic Media in Canva to create their own image of what they were seeing in their mind as they were listening to this song. And I've just put a couple of examples with the students' permission. At the side over here, this was the image that they created and the prompt that they gave. So I got them to paste their prompt next to their image, and we displayed them, and we had a great conversation about what were we seeing, what were we hearing, how did we represent that with our words, what were the keywords, and then visually, what did that look like? And I think it was one of the more powerful ways of getting the students into a unit because they were using lots of different senses at the same time. So that was a really fun thing to start this year. Brisk is another one I use a lot. It's very similar to Magic School and to Diffit, where it has these multiple of tools. But the one thing I like about Brisk is that it's a Chrome extension. So it doesn't get added to your Google account. It gets added to your Chrome account. And then if you are using a video, you can quickly create a task from a video without leaving the tab that you're in. So for me, if I can do something inside a tab without having to go to other tabs, then that's a win for me. And Brisk works within tabs on multiple different file formats. So again, it's got I haven't put it through our school system yet, but there has been lots of talk online about the safety and security of Brisk. And they have done lots of work around making their product really safe. So it might be something that you want to check out as well. I tend to use audiogram.ai for my images whenever I want to create a bespoke image for something, mostly because it tends to be the one that does people really well and it handles text very well. So when you think about when you're generating a new image, it's pulling from lots of bits and pieces from lots of different images. And originally, or in the very early days, AI didn't tend to handle text very well. And sometimes you get people with maybe 6 fingers, or maybe they just had 4 fingers. But audiogram stood out for me very early on as one that gave me a great result. And so I've just kept on using it. And one of my best tricks is when I'm asking it to create something, I ask it to put a plain background. If I know I want the background removed, I will put a plain background in. And so it makes it very easy to remove. One thing of making your own personal letters. So these are all linked and you can just jump in here, but I'm just going to flick through to with my students. There's some activities here of what I've done with my students, and these are all linked and they're explained in the speaker notes how I've used them. Say What You See is a really fun one where it gives you a picture and they have to write the prompt. So it's great language, but I just want to flick down to in the last couple of minutes. So lots of examples there. Starting to use it with my students. So just in the last probably 6 months, once I had a really good handle on it and I understood, then I started using it with my students. And we use Magic School Plus. We have a subscription for it, which school allows. And just started using chatbots with my students where I create it, I give it the parameters. I can see every single prompt they put in. I can see what it answers. I've got complete control over what they do. And what I did was the first time we did it, I showed the students how many prompts they put in that were on task and how many weren't. It was a great statistical activity for us. And once I showed them this graph, we had 100% on-task questions ever since we showed them this. So that was really good. And then what I've just started doing is this term started working with my students, teaching them about what AI is and how it works. Because if they don't understand what it is, and if we are giving them opportunities to use it, but they don't understand what they're really using, then we can't expect them to be critical with it and to be able to use it with the authenticity and with the critical thinking that they really need to be doing. So we've done 3 different activities this term around what it is, and we've done lots of work around them repeating it back. And it's, even though it's a very complicated concept for them, my students have a really good handle now, and they'll often say, oh no, we shouldn't ask AI because it's going to gather some data from its machine learning or from the data it's been trained on, and it might not be trained on what we want, so it might not give us the right thing. So let's use something else. I'm going, wow, that's really good thinking. So just starting to help them to see how it's about, and giving them some choice on just some AI tools that they can play with, explore, that they can start to understand how AI principles work and have conversations with each other and start to build their knowledge of AI, so that before they head through to middle school and before they head through to that stage where they are using it potentially for writing essays and things, they have a really good understanding of exactly what they're using. So with 32 seconds to go, because I put my timer on Ruth, I'm going to stop there, and I'm happy to answer any questions. I know that was really, really quick, but if you've grabbed the slideshow over the summer break when you've got some time, you might want to go through and find just one thing that you might be able to have a play with in your class. So I will stop sharing there.
I am just so happy that I got to run this webinar, because that means that I get to become all enriched from listening to the conversations and hearing about research and seeing the practical applications. I mean, there is one question in the chat. I know I have a question, or 20 as well, but we'll go to the question from the chat first. We had a hi there. What percentage of AI is acceptable in a high school setting with regards to NCEA assessments?
Would you like me to address that question, Ruth?
Yeah, and I think what we can do is feel free to share screen if there's part of presentation that would help illustrate it. I know I have lots of questions, but and that's why we kept your presentations to 20 minutes, so that we could invite questions from our attendees. So let's go.
Right, okay, so can you see the I'm not sure if I'm sharing the right screen. Can you see the NZQA screen?
No, I can see your desktop.
Okay, hold on, I'll stop sharing and try again. So there's a very common question, and my suggestion would be to have the NZQA guidelines. I believe they should be showing now on my share screen. Right, okay. So yeah, so if you go to the NZQA website, you'll see generative AI, and if you click on here, so what's happened is the last 2 weeks there's been a migration across the ministry website, and I believe the generative AI information is being updated. So I can't show you because it's not online anymore, but basically it follows the plagiarism regulation. So you know, students need to make sure that the work is their own. It's quite broad, it's not very specific. There's been a lot of need for more specific guidelines, but I think if you do have their student charter and you endorse really good use of AI, and there's transparency around as a whole school how you should use it, that really builds really best practice amongst the students. So that's that's my suggestion.
Cool. I was just seeing if I could find where the new copy of it is. It's probably gone over to Tahurangi. We have another question, though, about how to access slides from this presentation today. And I know, Susana, you had QR codes right through your presentation, and Donna had a bit.ly link. So maybe, Donna, could you copy and paste that into the chat? And maybe, Susana, if you could flash your QR code. Or give us a link in the chat, and I will type the answer for them.
I will share, Ruth, I will share the link to the presentation because my QR codes take you elsewhere. So I'll do that now.
Okay. And you will also be able to access the recording of this presentation, which should generally be uploaded in the next week-ish. Emphasis maybe on the ish at the moment, because we are quite busy in the build up to end of year. All right, so Rebrandly, I'll put in here Donna's slides. All right, and I will send both at once so that everybody gets them. Whoops, okay. I won't repeat the same link twice. That would be silly. And I see another question's come up. All right. So, yeah, no, chats are disabled, but we did, if you have a look in the answered question in the Q&A, it's got Donna's link, which is rebrand.ly/10snov. And then there's the direct link to Susana's Google Slides. Kapai. And we can add those links underneath the YouTube video when it goes live too. So,
Ruth, regarding the question on NZQA, I've just had a slide that I've just added to my presentation. So is slide 24 now has got some more information about the guidelines around artificial intelligence.
Very cool. Okay. Yes. So that's answered. And we will continue using the Q&A function. Do people have other questions? If not, while we're waiting for our attendees' questions to come in, I'm going to ask one to Donna, and that is, your school seems to have done a lot of hard work there, going through terms and conditions and vetting AI tools. Is there any possibility of sharing that list of tools?
I probably couldn't share the list of tools that have been accepted because it's on a school document. But in terms of AI tools that have been accepted, the only ones that have passed the stringent tests are Perplexity, Diffit, magicschool.ai. So those are the 3 AI tools that we can use.
Okay, very cool. And I'm going to then flip over to Susana. I know in your master's research, did you do an international comparison? So, like you focused on Finland. You were sharing highlights with us, right?
That's right. Yes. Yeah, so I'm also involved with the International Research Center for Artificial Intelligence, which is based in Slovenia, and that is under the auspice of UNESCO. And I'm also I also mentor teachers from Asia and Europe through the Asia Europe Foundation, and I just returned from a working conference in Manila, and through my research, and this is actually really updated information. So my research, I looked at the international landscape, and I didn't really focus on America because it's state by state, but I would like to point out that California has just passed a legislation that is going to make it compulsory to integrate AI literacy into the K-12 curriculum, which I think it's really significant. But I had also insights from a professor there is in South Korea, and interesting to hear insights around the challenges that this disruption of integrating AI textbooks is bringing to the country as well.
Very cool. And there I acknowledge Donna for acknowledging you when I was just so busy stressing about time. I was like, no, I have to intro the next person. I've got a question that's come through. In addition to the earlier question that I haven't seen, Kate, could you resend us the earlier question? But this question is, do you have a specific person employed at the school to look at the AI platforms? So I'm guessing that's for you, Donna.
Yes, we do. We do have an ICT team, and any ICT tool at all, any digital tool, be it AI or other, that a teacher wants to use, there is a standard Google form that gets submitted around what the tool is, why they want to use it, who it will impact, will any training be needed for teachers to use it, and then the terms and conditions and the privacy policy. So the same information is entered for every tool, and then there is a team of people who then go and look at all that and come back to us with yes or no.
Okay.
Would I be able to add to that, because it's something that it's new from the ministry, and I think is useful to know, is the ST4S, which also reinforces what Donna said. It's the ministry is adopting their approach from Australia, and I'm happy to share a link, and it's also some guidance around screening the digital technology and the process. So that's quite recent. So I'm not sure if a lot of people know about it. So I will share that as well.
And actually, Susana, that makes me think, we looked at the Australian framework last term, an AI working group across school, and we talked about whether it was an AI framework that we as a school decide to adopt or not. It's actually, the one pager is a really good tool to pick up. So if you're thinking about an AI tool and you're thinking, is this something that I should be using at school, to go through that framework and ask each of the questions of that framework of that tool is a really good practice to get into the habit of thinking about what is the purpose of the tool and how effective and useful is it going to be?
That sounds really useful. Yeah, is it something that you could share? Because I know that, and you know as well, because you know you've been really immersed in using the different testing the different technologies, but I think that is really hard to know a good starting point that is not going to take too much time, but at the same time brings the stringency that you need for the security.
Cool. So thanks to Henry, who's just put that link out to all attendees. And I will get you please to repeat the links for Donna and Susana's presentations, just in case anyone missed them. I mean, I know it's just such a huge topic. This can only be a taster. I am so appreciative of of both of your contributions today. Let's do a couple of little housekeeping things before we find out if there's one last question that's going to come in. And that is, there's the Google Educator session all day tomorrow in the city. So there's going to be some pretty cool things happening there. And the other thing is, in terms of the video, when the recording comes out, it will be shared on our YouTube channel. So the Technology Education New Zealand YouTube channel will hold this presentation. Okay, we're going to have good timing, are we? Okay, I have a last question then, because nothing's come in. I'm going to say, and as a primary trained, I'm a primary trained educator with some time spent in secondary contexts. But when I'm working with students, it's really easy to just get very excited and go, oh, here's a new thing, and I want to do it, and I want to do AI art with my students, because that will be a great starter for our story writing. I want to use it to refine stories, or there are many ways in which we could use it. What would be your elevator pitch? Yeah, here's my this is the most important message in terms of generative AI. Yeah, and you could focus in your context in secondary, Susana, and in primary, Donna, because I know there's some in the press about limiting and making sure that students who are younger than a certain age can't touch AI tools in New Zealand. I think that's my afternoon understanding anyway. You can help me clarify. So would you like to start us off, Susana?
Yes, so although I've been really focused on secondary, and I guess there was because of the initial restrictions with the ministry requiring we need written consent from parents for students to engage with AI between the age of 13 and 18. So there was the recommendation, and like I said, it was a little bit grayish. Thinking holistically about it, and obviously with my across school lead head, thinking about we need to think about the use of AI from ECE all the way to, well, higher education, and we really need to take into consideration the cognition level and understanding of the students. So it's something that really needs that pedagogical expertise to actually determine what is a good use, not just aligned to safety and ethics, but also the cognition level. And just a reminder that there is still lack of evidence to see to record the positive impact of integrating AI, and there's bigger complexities around, impact on cognition and even society. So this isn't, a lot of people compare AI with a calculator. Is not like a calculator because it behaves as a human, and understanding what's real, what's not real is becoming really blurry. So yeah, cognition and pedagogy at the forefront.
Did you want?
Yeah, I agree with Susana about the cognition. I think for me, it's always the why, starting with the why. Why would I want to use this? Why would the students need to use it? And what value is it going to bring? And I think the way that we've looked at what AI is this term is a very simplified breakdown of the process. In terms of what is at their level of understanding. But I think if they don't understand what it is and how it operates and what it does, then as they go through and they become more exposed to it, and I've already got kids going, oh, when I was on my mum's ChatGPT last night, or that they know it's there, that they've got family using it, and I think we have a duty of care to make sure that as they go through that we are helping them to understand the limits of it, the bias behind it, and the safety factors. And in order to do that, they need to know about how it works. So why would I use it? And if it's not adding value, then it's not something that I would consider in that particular moment in time.
Like, I think I'm looking forward to watching the recording and having another chance to digest this information. Please, everyone, do share your feedback. We use your feedback to think about where we're going next. We're all kayako, we know that's what we do. So please, please, please do share your feedback. I almost managed to finish on time today. We will close with a karakia. And then if any more questions do come up, please do feel free, share them. The feedback form is an avenue, and we'd be more than, I know I'm more than happy to carry on this conversation. And it may become a series, who knows? AI is a pretty big thing to be considering in our practice at the moment. So, me karakia tātou. Kia mātou katoa, kua mutu mātou i a mātou mahi, i a mātou kaupapa hoki. Arahina mātou, kia kawe mātou i a mātou haipapa, kia whakatapua mātou ki ngā kaupapa me ngā mea e whakapono. Manaaki tia mai mātou.